Michelle are podcast's most interesting and loving couple. Join them every week as this radio personality and this author come together to let you into their lives.
When you assume, they say what?
It makes an ass out of you and me.
And that's exactly what happened to this woman, Hannah Starr. What's her last name? Who knows? We'll find out. Esser. From California, Cypress, California.
Shout out Cypress, California.
Who decided to take matters into her own hands when she assumed that this guy of running over a cat?
Yep.
So
his car.
So she decided to kill him.
Well, she just was gonna nudge him with her car.
It just happened to go a little further.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old woman's under arrest right now, accused of intentionally running down a man with her car and killing him. It happened about 8:30 last night on Graham Street near the Cypress Community Center. Police say it appears anyway that the suspect, Hannah Esser of Long Beach, and the victim got into some sort of a verbal argument before she then intentionally, allegedly, hit him with the car.
Both parties were actually originally in their vehicles until the male subject got out of his vehicle to speak with the female.
And at that point, or some point thereafter, she ran him over?
That's when it's assumed that they had the argument or disagreement that took place, and then shortly thereafter is when the female ran over the male subject.
Police say it's unclear what the two were actually fighting about before the victim was run over. Investigators now asking anybody out there who saw what happened to please come forward.
Wow.
Man.
Wow, over a cat.
I thought you hit a cat. Not my cat.
Not, my neighbors, my sisters.
I mean, you would have thought that he killed Grumpy Cat.
I mean, you
She.
you would have thought that this guy had a legitimate vendetta for cats.
Hey.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta, Feline Edition.
Wow.
This is wild. People, one of your favorite words to describe women is unhinged, but it totally works here.
Yes.
Like she had a psychotic break, all right?
I want to know what exactly happened from the moment that she thought it happened. I would love to have heard that argument.
I want to know what the voices in her head were saying to her at the time. Like, don't let
killed
him
that cat. Get him. Get him like he did the cat.
You can't let him get away with that, girl. What if that was your cat, bitch?
Are you a pussy? Are you a pussy too?
You might be next. Meow, meow, bitch. What?
Here's the whole definition of women who are catty. Listen.
All right, we're done.
No.
That was unnecessary.
All right.
We're done.
Is that what you wanted to do? Just highlight that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that bitch might have been on Tinder, and I just wanted people to know what's out here.
Yeah. Hey, listen. If anything, right? If watch, I know a lot of people hate watching the news. It's depressing. I get it. But if anything, if you're gonna take away anything from the news, take mugshots, because then you can always match them to dating profiles.
I know. The fact is, there's so many inmates on social media with their just white t-shirt mugshot picture. They're just up against this plain ass wall in these white t-shirts. It's a situation.
Bro, show your cell door and see what happens.
Or your number. What's it called?
Or the
Inmate
number.
number, isn't it?
Whatever it is.
How do they define those? DOC number?
Neutered or spayed.
Ah.
That's how they separate them.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let us know if you've ever dated a crazy cat lady. And did she hit you with her car?
Do you know somebody who loves cats so much that if she thinks a cat was run over, she would go this extra mile in her car?
I don't think she drove a mile. I think she just hit him and stopped. I don't think she kept going.
Bye, guys. You know, Tom Brady has it all. He's a successful athlete. Mm-hmm. He's rich. Mm-hmm. He's got a hot model wife who's also rich. Right?
Let's see how long that lasts, yeah.
Not until recently. Okay? Like, it's so crazy because, like, you hear these people together forever, and they're like the it couples, you know?
Yeah.
For a very long time. I mean, Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen have been an it couple.
Yeah, they've been together for like 20 years, right?
Yes. And so I bring this up to say there's a report. They hired divorce lawyers. Let's listen to this real quick and see what's going on in the world of Tom Brady.
Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen's marriage may be headed for the end zone. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback and supermodel have each retained New York-based divorce attorneys. There has been a lot of love and passion between them, but now that they have been apart, it seems like this is better for everyone. Tom and Gisele have been married since 2009 and have 2 children together. The supermodel did post a supportive tweet to her husband and the team on September 11th, but has yet to attend one of his games in person this season.
The couple have been living apart for months, and they are now apparently trying to divvy up their multi-million-dollar empire, with representatives for Brady and Bündchen having not commented.
Interesting.
You know, I'm not mad at this, and here's why. Prior to him announcing that he was going to leave the NFL, there were reports of them having marital issues, right? Mm-hmm. And then all this stuff happens. He says he's leaving the NFL, and then he returns, and then he ends up in Florida, of all places.
You think that's what it is? She didn't want to be in Florida?
Hell yeah.
Okay, well...
So, hold on, let me finish. Yeah. So when you add that to the fact, like, when you're a wife, all right, and you say from 2009 to 2019, if you say for that whole decade he played football, right, and you guys had to raise a family, and you had to travel, you had to do all this stuff as a wife and a mother, and then he tells you, you know what, honey, I'm giving it up, I'm over 40, I'm going to focus on you and the kids, or whatever the conversation was.
Give me another year and I got you. Give me another 2 years and I got you.
But he didn't say that to her, to the world's knowledge.
Right.
He just said, I'm going to retire, and then changed his mind.
Yeah, but that happened last year. That's what I'm saying. So let's say from 2019, let's say that was the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. 10 years, let's focus on us. Let's focus on our family. I'm going to leave football in 2 years because he ended up winning in 2020. So let's say I'm going to give it up in 2 years, and that's the plan. You know, now that you said that, I think about it. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he wanted to, and then when he realized that the marriage isn't going anywhere, screw what she thinks. Screw it.
This is tough. Firstly, I can say I feel bad for celebrity marriages right now. One of the other couples I like, Tia Mowry and Corey Hardwick, have filed for divorce.
Yeah.
And they've been together for 14 years. And, you know, there's alleging that there's cheating. Corey's camp is fighting back and saying that there's no cheating, but her camp is alleging that there's some cheating. Gary Owen and his wife.
Keenan, that one's a sad one.
That was sad. Kenan Thompson and his wife. Like, people put these celebrity marriages, like, not only are they under a microscope and people are watching them, but then you have the other people who are not only watching them, but looking to them as, like, hashtag couple goals and shit. Mm-hmm. When at the end of the day, they're just everyday people trying to make their life work while you guys aren't giving them any privacy. And I think that's a lot of the problem.
And then the pressure of having to answer to the public, right?
Right.
Like, let's say Adam Levine does work things out with Bahati.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Sumner. I was going to be like, all right, get your shit.
No, but they have to now feel this pressure of, like, I have to explain to the public. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That, you know, when you are a celebrity and you, like, there's this immense pressure that you have to, in order to protect each other.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the one thing I would truly hate about being a celebrity is my relationship is, we do this podcast and people get whatever we give them.
True.
I mean, like, even if we blew up tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? We do a very good job at keeping our relationship to ourselves.
I mean, privacy is a choice. As much as we have, Tom Brady and Giselle, we also have Beyonce and Jay-Z. And except for the few things that slip out that we all know is publicity stunts, they have their shit on lock. Like, you can be a celebrity and have your shit on lock. Denzel Washington and his wife, they've been together for 30 years. They got their shit on lock. Snoop and his wife, they got their shit on lock. Mike Epps and his wife, they're about to come to Indianapolis and do like an HGTV special or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who have successful, celebrity marriages
that are not in the public eye.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, the key being that they're not in the public eye, which they shouldn't be, because then you have people who are in the public eye, like Mila and Ashton Kutcher, who run around here talking about they don't bathe their kids and they keep their bathroom doors open. Like, keep that in your house. Stop letting so many people in your house like that. It's crazy.
We bring up this story, though, because Megyn Kelly did her podcast, The Megyn Kelly Show. And she mentioned that she believes there was some cheating in there. She spoke to Canadian professor and marketing expert Gad Saad. He has written multiple papers about couples' behavior, and he has a theory. He said on the podcast, I'm entering speculation land here. Statistically speaking, Brady returning to football seems to be an unlikely reason that they would have broken up. From the perspective of evolutionary psychology, women get more triggered and more angry and more jealous by emotional infidelity than sexual infidelity. It doesn't mean that they're happy if their man sleeps around with other women, but if he develops an emotional, platonic bond with another woman, that might actually be a greater precursor of them splitting, because emotional infidelity is the greatest threat to a woman's interest. Infidelity is more of a death blow to the relationship if a woman cheats on a man than vice versa. Not because of the patriarchy. I say this all the time, man. Because when a woman cheats on a guy, it triggers paternity uncertainty from an evolutionary perspective. Whereas when a man cheats on a woman, it's not quite the same thing. And I've always said that. I've always said that it hurts more when a woman cheats, because it's never going to be this, for the most part, in most cases, it's never going to be this one-off thing that happened.
Yeah.
She's already been building a bond. I always say, what do women say when they meet a guy or they're talking to someone? I'm getting to know this guy. A guy could see a hot girl and be like, man, I want to hit. And then he hits. And then he's like, oh, shit, I cheated. Fuck. I couldn't help it. My penis got hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Women, they're not going to go there with a guy. It's, this guy makes me feel good. He makes me smile. He's telling me things that my boyfriend stopped telling me.
Yeah.
And then already that's cheating, but then they go full force because their sexual interest is based off of how they feel emotionally.
Yeah.
This is where Megyn Kelly agreed and stated she prefers her husband cheated on her by having sex than an emotional connection. What the hell? They have 3 children together. This is what Kelly said. I'm thinking about my own husband. I'd much rather he have a one-night stand with a woman than sit and cry with her. Is it possible that either Tom Brady or Giselle Bundchen cheated and that's why they are getting a divorce? Okay. And we talked about this on a recent episode of our radio show. What do you classify as cheating?
Mm-hmm.
Something like making out, which is deeper to some people, or oral sex? If you walked in on your partner giving oral sex to somebody, what would hurt you more?
Right.
And so do you agree with Megyn here? Do you think that if it was a sexual thing over an emotional thing, we could get through it? Or is it all the same to you specifically?
To me specifically, we could get over a sexual dalliance. If you dallied outside of our marriage and it was just sexual, we could get over it. Because of who you are. Not because of who I am, but because of who you are. Because the thing about you is you see things very black and white. And so if you got to a point where you felt like it was okay to comfort a girl who was crying, who wasn't on the authorized cry list, then that means that you've created an emotional attachment with this female.
Wow.
Like, you're too black and white to accidentally hold somebody who's crying. Like, I'm not buying that. I'd rather you just be like, yeah, babe, I got my dick sucked, or whatever. Like, we could get through that.
It's so hard to answer this from a man's perspective because the emotional bond is always created with the woman first, not with the man in mind, because that's not what the man's thought is. I think there's an issue there. There's an underlying issue with the emotional thing because of what it can lead to. So I get it. If it becomes this whole thing of like, oh, he's consoling this girl. He's being there. He's being the knight in shining armor when she's crying and she's upset. That opens the door to now exactly further what I said earlier, that women sexually react off of what their emotions are. So now she's pushing. Now she could possibly be pushing for this guy to be like, for this guy to have sex with her because she feels comforted by him.
Exactly. And that was exactly what I was going to say, is the thing about comfort is it can go from I'm crying on your shoulder to help me take my mind off of that, which easily can become sex as a distraction. Mm-hmm. So not only are you comforting her and she's crying, but now you got your dick in her.
But now, on the other way around, like, men are always thinking sex, right? For the most part, they're always thinking attraction. So it's their way in. So do you think it's the same approach when women seek for that emotional connection if they're not being met there? Because I don't know if it's the same the other way around.
You know what? Hold this question and we'll address it with our next story. I have an interesting forever fail that I'm going to have you share about a man who has been emotionally cheating on his wife for 2 years.
Oof.
And we'll break down the story, and then you can ask the question again once you hear a man's perspective.
I like it. Make sure you're with us down in the DM pod for Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, or find us in our email, and we'll either email you back or we'll talk about it on the podcast down in the dmpod@gmail.com. It's time for Forever or Fail, and I'm going to tell you right now, this one is a tough one. Mm-hmm. And it really goes to show that sometimes you might find somebody while you're in a relationship that you feel fits better for you.
True.
This is a possibility. And how should you navigate through that if you are in a committed long-term relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So Slate, of course, has a column, Dear Prudence, where Prudence gets questions from people in relationships seeking advice. So this person says, I've been with my wife, Chelsea, for 15 years, married for 12. She is a wonderful person and a great wife. However, I've fallen in love with someone else. I met Beth 2 years ago when our companies worked together on a project for 6 months, and we hit it off. Not only did we work great together, but we formed a fast friendship. We have a similar sense of humor and a lot of the same interests and passions. We also have a similar background as children of military parents and bonded over moving all the time and base life. Over time, I found myself developing feelings for her. At first, I thought it was just friendly feelings, but then they kept getting stronger until I realized I was falling in love with her. I can't remember ever feeling this way with my wife, not even when we were first dating. Beth and I haven't crossed any lines, not in word or deed, and only in my mind, to my knowledge. We don't have inappropriate conversations or text messages. There are no conversations or text messages between us that I would hide from my wife. I don't know if Beth has feelings for me like I do for her, but I can't stop thinking about her and wanting to be with her. I decreased the time we spent together or talked for a while, but it did nothing to lessen my feelings. Whenever I'm somewhere with Chelsea, I think about how I wish Beth was there or how much Beth would like something. I don't know what to do. I don't want to hurt my Chelsea, but if I am able to develop strong feelings for someone else, doesn't that mean I'm with the wrong person? Even if Beth doesn't return my feelings, is it wrong to stay with Chelsea knowing I don't love her like I am able to love someone else? What should I do?
Whew.
So the last question there is, doesn't it mean that I should not be with her because I'm not capable of feeling the same love? That's a deep question.
Yeah, it is.
Because I believe you should really go for the person that you feel that way for. I do. I don't think that you should. I don't think it's fair for Chelsea. She should have that. She should be able to have that just like you should be able to have that. Is it hurtful? 1,000%. But I feel like if he knows that there's a whole nother possible way of loving or feeling some way for someone, and he can't give that to the person that he's chosen, I don't think it's fair for the both of them.
So I don't disagree with you. I feel like if he's out of love with his wife, especially because it's...
Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think he's out of love. I think he loves his wife.
No. He is out of love. You're either in love with someone or you're out of love with someone. Like, loving someone... I love my mother. I'm in love with you as my husband. You see what I mean? So that means that I can still love you while at the same time falling out of love with you. And this could just be a me opinion, but
sure.
For me, being in love is what he's describing. I want to know that I'm thinking about you for 2 years. I want to know that through whatever other situations we're going through, or even I'm going through at the time, if I'm sitting at the table at a restaurant and I'm eating something and we're not together, I want to know, what did you eat today? Would you like this new thing I'm trying? And like all of those things, that means he's in love with her. And he's obviously out of love with his wife. But furthermore, he explained that he tried. Like, he tried to maintain his marriage and he tried to not communicate with this woman. But now he's seeing what he wants love to look like for him.
Mm.
And I think once you experience that all-consuming, I love this person type of love, then go for it. Like, I'm not even saying he should go for it with her, because like he said, ultimately she might not feel that way. She might have a husband. Like, who knows what she's doing? But now that I have a taste of what love should be, like I joke now and I tell all my girlfriends that I wish I knew someone in my life who waited until marriage to have sex, and they married their partner that they knew that they wanted for the rest of their lives. Because intimacy with the person that you choose and who chooses you in return is so different than just having sex.
Mm.
And that love that he's describing, that connection, is so much deeper than probably the love he has for his wife. Because at this point, he's just going through the motions of marriage. Like, he's not invested because he still wants to be there. He's invested because he's put 15 years in, and what else is he going to do?
Yeah. Oof.
What was the other question he asked at the end?
Even if Beth doesn't return my feelings, is it wrong to stay with Chelsea knowing I don't love her like I am able to love someone else?
Yes. I knew it was important, and I wanted to make sure we touched on it. Yes. Leave your wife. Like, it's going to hurt. It's going to be hard. But leave.
If you know you can't get that back, or if you know that that's not the type of love that you feel for her, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. It's she deserves to have that. She deserves to look for that.
Or even see if you can fall in love with who she is now. Like, yeah, you never felt that maybe in the beginning and you haven't felt it in a while, but obviously there was something about her that made you want to be with her for 12 years.
It's ultimately I feel like it's gonna fail. And here's why. I don't think you can combat that. I think 2 years is a long time.
True.
To still feel the same way for somebody, even when you did do whatever you needed to do to pull away and not invest, it's done. It's done. He's emotionally, I don't want to say emotionally. He's mentally checked out.
No, he's emotionally. He's saying that he's in love with this.
What if he still loves his wife the same way? They still spend time, obviously. They still do things together. It sounds like the relationship is still going on.
No, it sounds like he's going through the emotions. He literally said in this posting that sometimes when he's out having dinner and stuff with his wife, he's thinking about the other woman.
But he's still going out to dinner with his wife.
That means he's going through the motions. Like, he's just, like, for example, what if they go out every Friday, right? Like, that's their date night. They go out every Friday.
Okay.
Maybe they even go to the same restaurant every Friday, or they do a restaurant rotation. But he expects that at Friday at 7:30, him and his wife gonna go out for date night. That's part of your routine. So, of course, you can keep going through the motions of, I'm gonna go out with my wife, or parties. You're expected to be somewhere. I mean, think about it. When did you check out of your last relationship? Not when you left, not when it was done, but when were you done? This husband has been done for at least 18 months. I'll say the first 6 months they knew each other and were working together, it was probably just
they were talking, everything was cool, whatever.
But for this last 18 months, he's been done with his marriage. And
oh man.
And so I think it's going to fail just because of that, just because it's about when your partner checks out, they're done. So yeah, you can love them. I went through the motions for the last year of my relationship because I knew what was expected of me. I knew I was expected to go to birthday parties, expected to have Christmas dinner, like those are things I could get through because I knew what my expectations were. But that doesn't mean I was still planning forever. Like, I was already checked out for almost 8 months before our relationship ended. And that's I think the key part of this is that
I think it makes it harder when you're checked out because of someone than when you're just checked out, right? You weren't talking to somebody, were you? I mean, when that last year of the relationship, nobody had your focus.
No, I was just done.
So, without that distraction, do you think that there is a way of repairing that? Like you mentioned earlier, it could work if he decided to try to love her for who she is right now. Do you think that if he completely cut ties with Beth and if he's checked out, do you think that there's a possibility that shit could actually be, I don't want to say repaired, but at least can continue in their new way?
I think it could have had it worked. Because he expressed that, yeah, he cut ties with her. Yeah, he limited his communication, but the feelings didn't change. And, also it's the consideration of, at the time, were those feelings infatuation or were they, like, because maybe he just thinks he's in love with her. Like, who really knows, you know?
Sure.
He could just think that, oh, I'm in love with her for these reasons and not really be in love with this woman. So, I don't know. I ultimately think it's going to fail because regardless of the fact that he hasn't physically cheated, like I say all the time, like for women, it's emotional. It's the fact that she lost her husband emotionally 2 years prior and he's just been going through the emotions. And as a wife, I wouldn't be okay with that. I think it's so important to check in with your spouse and not only to ask, are they okay? But like, are we okay? Like, hey, are we okay today? Is there anything I did? Is there, like just for a check-in, it's important to have those conversations or else shit like this happens.
Wow. That was a deep one.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what you think of this forever or fail using the hashtag DITDM forever, right?
Right.
On our Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, down in the DM pod. Watch who you are dating.
Truth.
Literally, if they look a little crazy, they might just be a little crazy.
Hold on. Before we get into this story, let's talk about exactly what you just said because I was on TikTok, right? And I was scrolling through and I was listening to people and was like dating horror stories. And this one dude was like, this girl looked so crazy, but he just kept taking her home. So what ended up happening basically was he took her on a date and he asked her, did she want to come over for the night? And she thought he actually meant like spend the night. So they got to the house and she just kept staring at him. And then she goes, well, where can I sleep? And so he gives her a blanket. Look, he gives her a blanket and some pillows, right? And then he was like, we made out a little and then I went to bed. And he was like, then I woke up because I thought I heard voices, but And I saw that she wasn't in my room anymore, and I went downstairs, and she was just staring at the wall, murmuring to herself.
What the
And then he was like, I called my dad because I didn't really know what to do. And then when she heard me talking, she ran up on me and started choking me, and my dad had to call 911.
Whoa.
He was like, but the moral of the story is she ain't look all the way right when I went to pick her up, and I took her out anyway.
I'm telling you, it's real.
Yeah, it is.
It's real. If you see, everybody who's crazy has a little crazy in them.
I mean, you can see it in their eyes.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy is in your soul, bro.
Look at every serial killer possible.
Truth.
And look at how they look at their faces.
Especially in court.
Yes. And just like when they're being interviewed, and just look at their faces, their facial expression, their eyes. Everything is so, I mean, it's written right there. So let's go to crazy, dumbass Colorado Springs. I would never live here. I would never live here. But I want to play this for you because I think this is wild. This is Fatal Attraction, I guess we're saying?
Well, he didn't die. This is dating horror stories.
Dating horror stories.
We'll start that. This is our first edition of dating horror stories.
All right, so let's do it. This one from KRDO. This is the report from them.
If you ever needed a cautionary tale about online dating, this is a strong contender.
One alleged victim in Colorado Springs went from hooking up to being tied up. And what happened next sounds like something straight out of a...
Hooking and Tied. That's the name of the bit. Okay. I love it. I'm kidding.
Good evening. I'm Bart Bedsole.
And I'm Heather Skold. Thanks for making us your choice for your news at 10 o'clock. Tinder terror. Tonight, 13 Investigates is learning startling new details about a Tinder date that turned violent inside a Colorado Springs apartment.
You know what I want to say before we move forward with this?
Can we talk about how that bitch does her tease? Like, why is she doing her tease? Like, what is she?
They are a little aggressive.
Like, did she have to learn to say tease? Was she dyslexic or something? Like,
don't make fun. She probably had speech therapy. Okay. You know, they put me in speech therapy.
Yeah, that backfired on us all.
Yeah. Kindergarten, I had just become blind, fully blind, and I guess they considered me being pretty quiet and like I didn't really interact too much. I guess because I was trying to like deal with it, you know. And so in kindergarten. They put me in speech class. They put me in, and I remember the only other kid in there was just me and Hugo. This kid named Hugo.
That's such an unfortunate name.
He was a Spanish kid who didn't, he barely spoke English.
Hey, look, I want to ask you real quick. Why do Americans put all Spanish kids in speech therapy? I had this friend named Marcella, right? And bitch spoke better English than me. she had third period speech therapy.
So let's I just wanted to I'll focus on the point I wanted to get to actually after the story.
Shout out Marcella. Whatever happened to you, girl?
Shout out Hugo. Whatever happened to you? I hope you learned English, bro.
Investigative reporter Sean Rice is live at the Hills Apartments along East Cache La Poudre with more on this bizarre case. Sean?
Yeah, but Heather, a 21-year-old man arrived here at this apartment complex after meeting a girl on the dating app Tinder. Mere minutes after entering her apartment, he found himself tied up and bleeding profusely after being stabbed multiple times by a kitchen knife.
Pretty shocking to know somebody lives right around the corner is capable of doing this.
Lori Gloria says the Hills
Hold on,
apartment
can we
doesn't
pause
typically
this?
see a...
Why does she didn't even get her next door neighbor or nothing? They got the bitch from around the block.
Random chick.
They
were like, we got to talk to somebody.
They got the bitch from around the block, and then she's being interviewed by the backup meteorologist. He's
the fill-in guy.
Yeah, he's the
on the
weekends. He was like, "What? Hey, you? I'll take you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Please talk to me. I need my job." Yeah.
A lot of police activity. They were out in force this past Wednesday night. Court records say Colorado Springs police were there to arrest 22-year-old Lauren Dooley on felony kidnapping and assault charges. She's accused of tying up and cutting a man she had just invited over that night.
It scares me.
Hey, baby, you want to come over to my place?
So I can tie you up and cut you a little bit?
Up and chop you up like liver?
Not liver.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the gentleman, he was cut pretty good, and to think that somebody could do that is pretty scary.
Police records say Dooley used a kitchen knife to cut the man's shoulder before placing a belt around his neck and choking him for 20 seconds. The arrest affidavit says Dooley even ordered food from DoorDash.
How do they know it was 20 seconds?
I was gonna ask too.
That's a good question, right?
That's so specific. Like, did he count in his head?
Did she count? Did she purposely say, this is my 20-second belt? I got a 30-second one. I got a minute one. I just figured with this guy, I only needed the 20-second belt.
5 minutes is black, but only one person made it to there. Like,
Warning the victim, quote, "If you scream or say anything, I'll kill you." After Dooley fell asleep, the man was able to break free and run into the parking lot. It's where Gloria found the pair of young adults.
When I came outside, there was a gentleman outside. He was bleeding, and he didn't have any clothes on. And there was a young lady standing in front of him. It was pretty scary.
A search of the apartment revealed a kitchen knife, several blood-soaked rags, and blood in the bathroom. Court records say Dooley refused to speak or answer questions from investigators. She also did not answer her.
hold on, what the fuck was with the knock?
It was showing investigators showing up at the house.
I
don't know why we needed to see that. I believe you if you told me.
Do they think this is Dateline and be like, they think they're doing a reenactment?
I'm Chris Hansen.
This is Dateline.
You came here to have sex. Why do you always say sex like that?
I don't know why that bitch said her teeth like that.
Sought answers from the 22-year-old. Now the tight-knit apartment community can only wait and watch, hopeful that this Tinder terror was a one-off, isolated incident.
This is really unexpected. Like I said, all our neighbors here watch out for each other, so I hope nothing like this happens again.
I don't know what her
This is the first time Lauren
doing
Dooley
that
has
to
been
do with
charged
not
with a
looking out
crime
for
in
her
this.
neighbors.
Right, though?
Like, how come me fucking a dude and cutting him up a little bit? Like, that don't got shit to do with bitch upstairs. Like, that's my...
And you better wait. You better hope she doesn't get out because she gonna find you, bitch. You saw this bitch talking about you in the news? You better go get her.
This is the first time Lauren Dooley has been charged with a crime in the state of Colorado. She posted a $25,000 cash bond and is out of jail this evening. She will be back in court later this week. Reporting live in Colorado.
Hold on. Can we find out if she's been charged with crimes other places?
States, right? I thought that same thing in Colorado.
In Colorado.
And they left it there.
That's real specific. That's awfully specific, Lauren Dooley. Man, this is crazy. You know, on a very serious note for a second, online dating is so it can be very scary. And I've told you before, you know, we lost a very close family friend in 2019 due to online dating. Essentially, he was on a dating app looking for, you know, a guy to date, and a guy hooked up with him. They met up. They allegedly had, you know, what our family friend thought was a good time. And when he tried to exit the car, the dude shot him and attacked him. And he ended up driving his car into someone's apartment. And the police told us at the time, you know, if the gunshot didn't kill him, then the impact from the crash would have.
Wow.
And the reason that this man got caught was because he bragged about it. He basically, you know, talked to his girlfriend and some other people and was like bragging about how he pretended to be gay so that he could kill a gay person.
Wow.
And this all came from somebody who just wanted an innocent date. So, like, as much as you and I have the ability to make light of situations like this, I do want our listeners to know, like, this is one of those things that hits close to home, specifically for me and my family. And it's not something to make light of. Like, when you are going into situations like this where you're online dating, be safe. Have a plan. Have a friend who, you share your location with them. Have somebody follow you to the restaurant. My friend Terica, I went on a date one time. She came too. I went to a restaurant. She brought me to the restaurant.
That fucks everything up.
Well, no, not really. Like, so this is how it goes. I went to the restaurant to meet the guy. I met him there, so she drove me. And she had one of our other friends with her, and they went and sat somewhere else. Like, he didn't see us arrive together or anything, and they went and sat somewhere else.
I thought they sat with you. Like,
No, they sat.
I'm here to,
No, they were just physically present.
I understand.
And that's a safety precaution.
See, here's where I think that defeats the purpose. If I was majorly in the dating scene, and a chick wanted to go back to my place, or I wanted to go back to hers, I would never do that. I would never do that. I don't, especially off of a dating app. You know what I mean? Because there was a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you really made sure that you didn't get yourself into a really bad situation back then. I think this is when, like, online dating first started.
Yeah.
And, you had to pay for sites like eHarmony and Match.com. Like, I think there's more of an incentive when you pay because you're really funding your future.
Yeah.
You're funding to search for somebody. But people are way too risky to allow people to come back to my place. Like, I've always said this since I was a kid, and I heard dating horror stories and news stories like this about dating online. And people are like, oh, yeah, they went back to their place, and they smashed, and then so-and-so killed so-and-so, right?
Yeah.
I would never. You know what? I would go to a hotel. I would pay a night in a nearby hotel. You don't have access to knives in my hotel. You know what I'm saying? You don't have access. There's obviously you could use other things. You could use a bed sheet to choke me. You could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smother me. Of course you're going to find, but there's less tools to use than if I'm in your house.
I mean, more than that, if you're in a hotel, that's essentially a neutral location.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's people around you.
There's people around. You can't, you can't follow me back to anywhere else.
You don't know where I live.
You don't know where I live.
Yes.
You don't know somebody's next door, so you got to be, you know what I'm saying? Like,
why wouldn't you normalize that? If whatever, you want to smash on the first date, that's all up to you. But if you are going to do it, I would never take them back to my place.
And if you do, like I said, you need to have, the thing is, people think that they're invincible. And people don't consider how just hooking up with someone in a car, just pulling up at the same spot and one person getting into another person's car. People don't think about how dangerous that can be. Because like I said, like, ultimately that's what killed our friend. So, like, this dude hopped in his car, they did a meetup, and he ended up losing his life because of that. And so I think, unfortunately with dating culture, not only are people impatient, but they're not encouraged to explore, because let's be honest, maybe this was her kink. Like, maybe this BDSM thing was her kink, and she
just took it an extra mile,
took it way too far, or she should have been on somewhere other than Tinder to explore this side of her personality. You know
Shout
what I mean?
out FetLife. Hey, one of the other things I really want to bring up with this story, and it was something I was going to bring up earlier, is the fact that this can happen all across the board.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we see more cases where it's the other way around.
Where it's
men luring women and then killing them, or whatever, doing whatever they're doing with this violence involved. And I wanted to raise that point to people that, like, men, this can happen to you too.
That, and kudos to this young man for having the courage to say, this fucked up thing happened to me. Because, unfortunately, he's going to be, from now until the next big thing happens, affiliated with the quote-unquote Tinder terror. And so
that's true.
I commend him for saying, this is wrong. And I am a man who was victimized by a woman, and I have enough self-respect to say, this isn't my fault, and I'm going to speak out about it.
Let us know what you think of this story down in the DM pod at gmail.com for our email. And, of course, at Down in the DM Pod for Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. It is spooky season. Yes. And, of course, what comes with spooky season?
Creepy dudes.
Ghouls, goblins,
ghosting.
Oh,
who are we ghosting?
Okay. Who are we ghosting? Who are we ghosting is a wild question. I don't think you can ask that.
I mean, we ghost as a couple now.
We do?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, if you're not talking to him, I'm not talking to him either. Is that not how marriage works? I guess not.
Your marriage.
Oh.
Are you all right?
No.
No?
No.
Are you ghosting me?
Sometimes.
Okay. Let's get to this list. BuzzFeed put a list together of some of the best Reddit answers for 21 reasons women decided to ghost men. And I think we should really talk about this. You know, nobody is a fan of ghosting. Mm-hmm. Nobody is a fan of being ghosted. But at the same time, you know, sometimes there are valid reasons on why you might ghost.
True.
Okay. And I think we need to highlight some of them right now. So this one, I have to read right off the bat because this one is the craziest one so far. Went out on a coffee date with a guy. He admitted that he placed a GPS tracker in his ex's car to track her without her knowledge. Immediately, no.
Whew.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's some, what's his name on you? John Goldberg? That's some crazy John Hughes shit. Like, that's nuts.
Also, one guy texted me after our first date. He wanted to put me in a Pokeball so he could keep me forever and take me out when he wanted me.
All right.
And then texted a load of abuse. When I didn't reply immediately, I was trying to figure out what the fuck to even say to that.
It's just not like she was dating Marilyn Manson.
I'm gonna put you in the bad girl's room. Come on. He wanted to be Ash Ketchum. Yeah!
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
That's all he wanted to be. He just wanted to be the best he ever was.
You should have tried harder.
Why?
Miss my cars.
Pokemon! Shout out to all the Pokemon Go players, by the way. Let's see.
I don't think that survived the pandemic, did it? Did Pokemon Go survive the pandemic?
I don't think so. I don't think you could be out there searching for Pokemon. This one, when you've known them for a whole 10 minutes and they're already making sexual comments. Shout out blind community.
Truth.
They hear a girl with a hot voice and they're like, ooh, the things I would do to you. How's that for a creepy
yeah, that's so true.
Let's see. When they keep criticizing you, in the first few interactions, criticism comes off very badly. I ghosted a guy last week because I said, haha, at the beginning of a message during a conversation, and he said, just say LOL. He already had one strike, and this just sounded so controlling. Why does it matter how I laugh in a message? And why does he feel he gets to tell me to change it? This actually goes a little deeper than that for, like, shout out to my best friend. She was dating a guy, or I guess messing around with a guy for a while, who would go shopping with her, mm-hmm. and then would not complain, but like make little comments like, I wouldn't spend my money on that, or you think you should pay $15 for that thing? You think whatever? And like, it's her freaking money. What are you saying right now?
Yeah, why would you? Insecurity.
Yes. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, this one is good. When they only compliment you and don't let the conversation flow. For example, him, you have the most beautiful smile. My reply, thank you. You too. How's your day? Him, you look sexy in that picture.
Oh.
My reply, haha, thanks. I see you like playing the guitar. How long have you been playing? Him, your eyes are like, God damn it. Cut the BS, she says.
Oh.
This one is good. When they keep making assumptions about you, right? It makes them seem really controlling. I don't know if controlling is the right word in this case, but we'll see what we can find for that. Like, I bet you only like guys who go to the gym. You're probably one of those people who orders appetizers. You probably only go to the club on weekends. You probably believe in astrology. Context matters, but just to come out and say some things makes me second guess myself, which is the first step to controlling my behavior. Well, if you're that easily controlled too, though.
True. And
Like, that says something about you.
I mean, or if you're that insecure.
Sure.
Because so what if that's the kind of person I am? Like, if that's not the kind of person you want, then say that.
Yeah, and then move on.
But don't critique the kind of person I am based on preconceived notions. Because that's my issue with this. It's like, you can look at me and be like, oh, you probably like to wear sweatpants. And my legs get cold, bruh. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I like blankets too. Like, I don't know you to say that.
I remember a couple years ago, a girl had started talking to me, and this was our first like conversation on the phone, you know? And she, I guess, was into me or whatever. And so I started talking to her, and I forgot what she said. We were having a good conversation for a while, you know? Couple hours and just really having a good time. And at one point of the call, she makes this like joke like, I don't know, because you're going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to have that baby and I'm trying to blah, blah, blah. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you find me blah, blah, blah. You know, you find me fine and enough to do that and blah, blah, blah. And she tried to laugh it off. But I literally got off the phone with her immediately and never talked to her again. And I remember she messaged me. She was like, I'm sorry if that, you know, if what I said and what I was joking about was too much. And I was just like, you knew it was too much.
Yeah.
Like, you know that nobody would take that lightly, girl. What are you saying right now?
Let us know some of the creepy, weird, and downright uncomfortable things people have said to you when trying to court you, when in a relationship, or just when you meet a stranger on the street. Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter at Down in the DM Pod, or email us at downinthedmpod@gmail.com.
Closing out this episode 32, with
TikTok Teardown.
TikTok Teardown. I can't believe 32 episodes we're in.
I know, right?
Talking so much love, relationships. We will be getting back to That's My Jam, and then we'll probably be switching our game for a few months to our first original game show idea for the love of lyrics. And we'll give you more information on what that looks like in a little bit, all right, in some time. So make sure you're following us on social media, Down in the DM Pod, on Twitter and Facebook. Then, of course, author ML Farrell for you, and Romero on air for me. All right, let's do it. TikTok Teardown. Ready to date again? I don't know. Not after the story of the chick in Colorado.
I mean, just don't go to Colorado and get on Tinder.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Here are 6 signs to know you're ready to date after a breakup. You aren't burying your feelings. You're not relying on vices, parties, or distractions to pull you through. You've gone through and acknowledged the old memories, the photos, the old messages, and you've put them behind you. This is super hard because this is the actual closing of a chapter. It doesn't trigger you to hear their name. You can talk about your ex without feeling anger or sadness. You no longer care about what your ex is doing or about what they think about what you're doing. You have forgiven yourself for the mistakes made in the relationship, and ultimately, you've forgiven them. You've experienced it all. Anger and sadness, bitterness and loneliness, regret and pain, and finally, acceptance.
You know, I like this a lot, and it's so valid. Like, literally everything that he said about knowing that you're ready to hop in the dating pool is valid.
Yeah, you know, it's wild because we all know these serial daters, the serial relationshipers.
Yeah.
The people who go from relationship to relationship to relationship, and then they're constantly committing all these terrible things in their relationship and then wondering why it's not working. Well, you haven't been able to get over the person or the last 5 people you were with. You didn't give yourself that time. You didn't allow yourself to really separate, I am my own person. What we had is what we had, and it's done. And I think it's really important. I think at the end there, the acceptance is the most important piece to this, is because you need to accept that it's over before you even can give the proper attention to somebody else.
Well, and the thing about dating, especially if you want to be serious about dating, is finding peace. A friend of mine posted on social media recently that he'll never find peace. And I was like, you know, that'll be true for you as long as you're looking outside of yourself for that peace.
Right.
And the thing about relationships is we forget when we're in a relationship that there's a piece of us that will always be left with our exes. And we have to accept letting that piece go. And to do that, we have to find peace within ourselves and figure out who we are now that we're not with that person. And people tend to skip that step. Like, people don't realize how important it is to leave the person you were with your ex behind. And then when you get into a new relationship, it's a new relationship all around. You can be a new you. You're in a new relationship. You can have new thoughts and feelings about it. People try to bring too much baggage into their next chapter all the time.
Let us know if you had trouble in the past getting over a relationship, what that was like for you when you jumped into a new one because you didn't really give yourself that time to heal. What kind of problems did that bring for you in your relationship?
And how did you know that you were ready to start dating? What made you say, you know what, I'm ready to hop back in the saddle and find my forever person?
If you want us to tear down a TikTok about love and relationships, make sure you send it over to us. Use the hashtag DITDM teardown so that we can go ahead and talk about it right here on the podcast. At Down in the DM Pod for Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok.